This is Radio Bath.
And welcome to the second segment of Radio Bath's Brave Business Conversations. We are with the founder of Brickell's Specialty Ice Cream. I like to call it specialty ice cream because I think it is a very special flavors that you provide. Rob, welcome to the studio.
Thank you very much.
And you founded this 3 years ago, and we're here to talk about your entrepreneurship story and also your ice cream.
Yeah.
So tell us a bit more about yourself. How did you get into the ice cream business?
It was a combination of things really. So, bit of background. I'm from down near Frome, in Somerset, and my family have a dairy farm down there. So it's been kind of fourth generation dairy farm, and we make a kind of traditional farmhouse cheddar already. So there was already the raw supply, and we already had a kind of an established food business there. Since leaving university, I was working in London and then abroad in advertising, but I always wanted to, at some point, to move down to home and get involved in some way with the family business. And then when I was abroad working, we would always talked about ice cream as another product we could do, to add value to the milk we had. But it never seemed that interesting. We were never that excited by the ice cream, products that were around in the UK specifically. And then, I just started researching it. I was kind of looking at what happened with kind of craft beer and how the kind of emergence of, proper small production craft beer suddenly just
craft anything really now.
Craft
ale,
anything.
Craft ale. We've been sponsored by Bath Abbey Ale, and it's just been fantastic. Anything craft. So you decided to craft ice cream.
That was it, and it was. I looked at ice cream. I was like, there must be that emerging somewhere in the UK, and couldn't find it. And then I looked at America and saw this huge boom of craft ice cream. And it's just a slightly different way of producing it, which gives you such much richer brand, really, a kind of process, and actually something to really kind of like get excited about for your customers, I guess.
So what's the difference between the traditional commercial ice cream, without naming any names, versus the craft ice cream? When you say, and you mentioned a bit about production process, what's the real difference between the two?
Yeah, so this. Right from commercial down to small batch, even guys that would be calling themselves artisan ice cream kind of up until now, I'd say, fundamentally all they're doing is kind of, they'll have a white base, so just a plain base of ice cream, and then they'll just be mixing in a pre-brought flavour, so you get kind of a raspberry paste or a pistachio paste,
right.
And they'll mix that into their white base, and then they'll freeze it, and then, hey presto, you've got raspberry ice cream coming out the end of it. So there's very little craft, actual, skill going into it. Once you've got your recipes, all you're doing is mixing ingredients together, putting them through the machines, and you've got ice cream coming out at the end of it. Mm-hmm. So what's kind of the big growth in America is this idea of making everything from scratch. So it's a bit of an American terminology, but you always start with the raw ingredients. So we don't buy in flavours from what's called flavour houses. There's we have a few of them in England, and they're just cater for ice cream. So rather than buy a raspberry paste in, we'd buy fresh raspberries in, and we'll cook them down, turn them into a paste ourselves.
All right.
So for example, our strawberries, we take in raw strawberries and we'll roast them down, and we're looking for a specific flavour. And then on top of that, you're formulating. Every flavour we do has a unique recipe, because we're formulating it based on what we're trying to balance that flavour that we're bringing into the base of the ice cream. So there's, it's taking something that's really traditionally quite easy to make, especially small scale ice cream, to actually something that's a lot more labour intensive, but it gives you a lot more flexibility to be able to create any flavour you like, and as soon as you kind of free yourself from these flavour houses, then you get to basically think out the box and be like, oh, I want to be able to create this flavour. I know how to do it. I've got to understand how to formulate the ice cream. I just got to understand I'm going to create all the different elements and then formulate this overall flavour. So all of a sudden you can actually do what you like, I guess.
I guess so, because you're not dependent on a certain type of paste that is already pre-mixed with all these things. It's kind of like cooking, isn't it? Once you've mastered, okay, well, I just made this my project of I just made green tomato apple chutney, and now that I know what the component, the next time I want to make any kind of chutney, I can put a little bit more of that, and I would also think it's fresher, isn't it? It's more fresh than taking something from paste form.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah?
I mean, so we make an all-natural ice cream as well. So that's a slightly, you don't necessarily have to go. There's so many different ways of making ice cream in terms of the balance of different ingredients that you use. We chose not to use stabilizers and emulsifiers. So there's that often, if you look on the back of especially commercial ice cream, pretty much most ice cream producers will have stabilizers and emulsifiers. They look like guar gum or.
And is that to preserve them or?
To preserve them. But if you then think about that, if you're buying in flavours and pastes and stuff from flavour houses, these things aren't fresh, therefore they've got preservatives in them. So actually, if you want to create a really clean, natural, fresh product, you have to make it fresh. So we can't make, strawberry paste way in advance and have it sitting around. We make it the day before. We're going to put on a batch of strawberry ice cream. So those strawberries go from being cooked down into a roast strawberry pureed into the ice cream within about 2 days. So it's exactly. Everything comes in fresh and it's all really clean ingredients.
That takes a huge effort in terms of planning, ordering and planning things. Wow, I can appreciate that. I used to work in a manufacturing company, so yes, I appreciate that. I want to ask so much more about your entrepreneurship journey and your products, but let's enjoy some music and we'll be back with Rob Gore after this.
Made locally in Bath. This is Radio Bath.
And we're back with Brave Business Conversations with Rob Gore, founder of Brickell's Specialty Ice Cream. So you had a corporate life before.
Yeah, kind of corporate. I was working for a digital advertising company. That then got brought out by a bigger kind of, offices all around the world type kind of e-commerce driven company.
So you were working in London, then you moved to Hong Kong, you said, right, to do all that work. What happened, or when was it that you knew that it was time for you to go and start your own business?
It tied in quite. We wanted to leave Hong Kong, and I didn't want to carry on working in the current company I was working in. And honestly, before I moved to Hong Kong, I kind of didn't want to work in the industry I was working in either. And I think if I hadn't moved to Hong Kong, I probably would have found a different job in London, maybe something a bit different. There was always something in the back of my head being like, I wanted to start a business, and there's always something in my head that I wanted to get involved with a family business down in Somerset. I always inevitably wanted to move down here. So it was, a combination of all those things, really.
Oh, cool.
That came together.
Cool. So no political fights with your boss. That wasn't the reason why
no,
you decided, good for you.
They were doing enough of that themselves.
And family businesses, that can't be easy. You set up pretty much Brickell's Ice Cream by yourself, but it was semi-attached to your dairy business, the family business. How was it? What was it like working with a family business? Yeah,
it's a strange setup. So, because my mum is kind of the sole kind of inheritor of the business. She back when in her time, it wasn't really expected for women to take over, especially a farming business. So that was never really in question. So actually, ever since my grandfather died, we've always had someone called Brickell who worked for my grandfather, and he's kind of taken over running the business. And his son actually works with him now and is also a director of the business. So it's not, we don't as a family properly run it, if that makes sense. Day-to-day running of the business is run very much by those guys. But it's joining. So I'm now a director of that business as well. So it's kind of getting up to speed and kind of getting getting to know that business. I mean, honestly, farming is incredibly complex and not something I grew up on. I didn't grow up with my dad going out every day on the farm, so it's getting my head around
It's
that
a whole
as well.
culture adjustment from corporate life in London and Hong Kong to
very
farm.
different. I mean, just living in the countryside alone is very different to,
But it's lovely going back to the place you were born, basically. Around Somerset area.
Yeah.
The values that you bring into your business, like when you say, okay, I'm going to start an ice cream, a craft ice cream business. What values did you have as an entrepreneur, or what vision did you have for this business?
So, it was always. I mean, certainly, if you looked at what where we were already coming from with the cheese, is that it was traditionally made, very focused on quality, artisan, not looking to scale up to some huge commercial brand, even if that was an option or a temptation. It's never. We've always been very strict that, our USP is the fact that we make a very traditional, high quality product, and that creates, the brand and what people love and why they buy it. And I wanted that within the ice cream as well. So it was always going to be, a craft and good quality, not cutting corners, which you can do with ice cream very easily. So I make a traditional custard base, so egg yolk, milk, cream, sugar, very simple ingredients, very rich, very dense, expensive to make. I could add a small stabilizer in there and cut my cost down by, say, 20%, and that's, effectively an extra 20% margin I'd make. But it wouldn't be a traditional way of doing it, so it would be out of sync with what we're already doing, even though they're separate businesses with the cheese. It's trying to keep them within the same,
the same ideologies and the same values. And that's probably why, and I've said this before our show as well, I don't traditionally like strawberry ice cream, but I like your roasted strawberry. I don't traditionally like vanilla. I'm a chocolate person, and I love your vanilla bean. There's something different about it, and I'm not a flavor expert. Obviously, I can't articulate it, but there's something, maybe it's the natural, maybe it's the lack of stabilizers, I don't know, but I really enjoy the flavor. And I've just tasted the toasted cinnamon as well. I've tried your new flavors. Well, we're going, I bought like 4 tubs of it, but we're gradually getting into them, and it's just a lot of new flavors that I've never really thought of being put in an ice cream. Where do you get your inspiration for flavors?
A lot of them are actually taking kind of, classic desserts almost, or dessert combinations, and then reimagining it into an ice cream. That's kind of where I want the flavors to go. I want to have, your normal flavors, but maybe done with a bit of a twist maybe, but also just done really well, hopefully. And then do these kind of more seasonally driven, limited time or flavors, which will be out for 3-4 months, which reflect what's, fresh or seasonally, whatever's in season, and also be something a little bit different, and throwing a little bit more in there. But yeah, I mean, that often it's, rhubarb crumble is just rhubarb crumble. Everyone knows rhubarb crumble, but it's how do you get that into an ice cream, and cinnamon toast. That's a classic, been around for centuries. Where very American, I guess, but what's the word? Treat. But it's how do you put that into an ice cream? So it's something that sounds nice. I think I could maybe do something like that with an ice cream. And
you must have a lot of trials in your little laboratory. Here, taste this. How does that feel like? How did that taste like?
It's a lot of them just don't make it because it's just getting the bits to stay crunchy or not go soggy and do this, do that.
I got a huge chunk of toast cinnamon. I love it, and I'm fighting with my partner because we eat the tub together, and I'm fighting over that little chunk. And they're big, and I love chunky ice cream. It's not just the ice cream, but you actually find little treats in them.
Yeah,
it's fantastic. Yeah. Oh, we'll have more discussions, more questions for Rob after this. We're still talking to Rob Gore, founder of Brickell's Ice Cream, and we're talking about entrepreneurship. We're talking about, using his business to learn more about how business people think, really. You've been going on for 3 years, is it?
Yeah.
Has it been a good 3 years?
It's been a road, kind of a big learning curve.
Oh,
Yeah.
great. So you're normal then.
Yeah.
Anyone who says, yeah, my business is fantastic all the time is lying.
No. It's yeah.
What were some of the, so why did you choose the business model of selling everything online instead of, let's say, opening an ice cream cafe or selling through supermarkets?
Yeah, so, I mean, that's not the core business model, really. I mean, originally we'd be growing it through just in, like, through
Direct
retail
selling.
shops, yeah.
Oh, you did that initially?
Yeah, exactly, and we still do that now.
Okay.
Actually, that's bulk.
Where
of our
are you?
income.
In which retail shops can we find your brand?
Lots of kind of delis and farm shops in
Okay.
Somerset and Bristol.
Great.
The
Independents then?
Yeah, all independents, exactly,
Okay.
at the moment. So, we're still small, so we're not kind of big enough to really supply a kind of supermarket as of yet.
Fair enough, yeah.
But we'll hopefully build up something like that down the line. I mean, so that was the core business model, and then obviously the online came out of COVID last year. When it in the first lockdown, we started doing, like many kind of small producers, doing home deliveries, and we were covering the whole of Somerset pretty much. Bristol, Bath, doing about 180 miles a day delivering, and it was
It was you. It was your trucks doing it, not like the way you do it now with
no,
DHL
exactly.
and stuff.
So we obviously sending ice cream in the post wasn't really, we weren't set up for it, and it wasn't really, no one was really doing it in the UK. But I knew they were doing it in America, and so in lockdown I contacted this dry ice manufacturer in Basingstoke, and they had just, because of a lot of their business had dropped off, so they started doing food for order fulfillment themselves. So they were keen to trial out an ice cream. But then we were right. We had to kind of work out, right, we're an all natural product. We don't want to use polystyrene. You need some kind of insulator to keep the ice cream frozen. So we trialed kind of wool insulation, denim insulation, some other types, and then settled on denim. And then all of a sudden we were able to send ice cream in the post next day through DHL anywhere in the UK.
Well, that saved you a lot of hours driving around.
A lot of hours.
And I have to say, I've ordered several times from you, and the last time after we spoke and I ordered the 4 tubs, I wasn't home.
Yeah.
But then I was quite, the first time I was calling my neighbors, I was like, could you please receive this? I know I'm not going to be home. The second time, because we talked, because you told me about the dry ice, I was more at ease. And I think it was left in my doorstep for like 30 minutes or something. First, my biggest surprise is no one came around and took it. Because you just live in terrace housing.
Yeah.
Anyone could have done that.
Branded,
Oh, it's not branded.
No,
yeah, good
that's
for you.
good.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
It's just a boring Amazon package. The second point was that when I opened it, it really isn't a huge amount of dry ice.
No.
But your ice cream was hard. It was solid. It wasn't even, and it didn't even start to melt. It was amazing. Yeah.
I think that's it. I think it's getting people over the fact that it's actually going to arrive there safely.
Yeah.
And also, if it doesn't, we'll refund it. It's
Yeah,
on
of course.
us, even though the only problem is if it's delivered the next day, it's fine. If DHL or whatever reason, or whoever we use as a courier can't get it there the next day and they deliver it the day after, then.
But it's 48 hours, that dry ice. Well,
Nah.
No, you do need to
we
do some
next
safety.
day, and if it doesn't, we actually tell DHL not to deliver it, because we're working to see how long we can how much more dry ice we need to extend it for another day, because then it will give us a bit of a buffer. But 90% of the time it gets there the next day. So,
What are some tips? This show is also talking about entrepreneurship. Really, people who want to start a food business, very perishable business, isn't it? Starting from not just delivery, really, but when you make it, when you pour something wrong, or the way you store it, the stored ingredients. It's a very delicate business. What are some challenges that you've overcome, and what are some tips you can give us?
Yeah, I think that's that's really been the hardest bit, is the manufacturing side of it. You know, you know, everyone always says scaling up food is hard, and with ice cream, in theory, it shouldn't be. You know, once you've got your formulation, you formulated that ice cream to be stable. It doesn't matter how big a batch you're doing or how much you're doing; it should be stable. The problem is when you've got it wrong, like I did at the beginning. You know, I thought I had the formulation of my ice cream right, and I was doing it on small batches, and it was working okay. Then when you start doing bigger ones, it proved that it was wrong, and you know that it's a very temperamental product. But yeah, I mean, food in general is tricky, especially, you know, you're just constantly outgrowing machines, I find. I mean, I've started with a small 5-litre machine, and I'm about to take on a 130-litre machine, so that's your batch per day.
Do you buy those machines, or do you lease them, or you rent them?
We've always brought, actually. I've been quite lucky in. I started really small because I didn't want to. They're expensive bits of kit, and I was like, right, give me the flexibility to do lots of different flavours rather than do big batches of one flavour. So I started small, and then the next step up, I managed to find one on eBay, a good brand, and it's been an amazing machine for a really good price. But you know, this last bit has been tricky because it gets a bit more expensive, and so yeah, we've managed to actually took advantage of one of the kind of revitalised loans from the government.
Okay.
Said, look, we want to buy a bigger machine to expand, and they were happy with that. So again, that's fortuitous, really, that happened to be going. But yeah, if you can lease them or lease purchase, then I think it's probably a much more efficient way of doing it, really. But if you can buy second hand, which we've always done, apart from one machine, we bought the actual the machine that churns and freezes it. We brought that new. The rest has all been second hand.
Question that I usually get from business owners that I coach who are in F&B, who actually make their own products, is how do you keep your recipes a secret? What if somebody in your team goes off and steals your recipe and goes off and sells the same product? How do you keep that going? But then again, you need them to manufacture. You can't do everything yourself.
Honestly, I think with ice cream, it's not a. Even if someone took one recipe, and it's an Excel sheet, it's formulas, it's numbers. So if someone took one flavour, you've still got to understand how to formulate each flavour. That's the skill. So if they can understand that, then they can produce their own ice cream. If you don't understand that, fine, they've got one flavour off me, or all the flavours I've got, but they wouldn't be able to create the next flavour or the next flavour. That's the bit that's taken me a long time to really properly understand. So I'm never that nervous about that, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The way I used to answer it is, yeah, they can take a flavor, and even if they knew how to reformulate it, they now need to know how to market it.
Yeah.
And once they learn how to market it, then they need to start knowing how to build a business around it and grow their team. So it's really not as simple as let's copy a recipe and go start a business. If building a business was that simple, every cook in the UK would be a business owner, but they're not.
Yeah.
So interesting. We'll be back with more interesting tips and stories about entrepreneurship from Rob Gore, Brickell's Ice Cream, after this.
This is Radio Bath.
Here we are in the last segment of Brave Business Conversations with Rob Gore, founder of Brickell's Specialty Ice Cream. We've been talking about flavors, and everybody's trying to figure out how to create that perfect Christmas in such an imperfect year. I've been really thrilled to go to your website to order my last batch and find all these unique flavors, ricotta something or another, compote, and all these kinds of things. Tell us about your flavors. Tell us about your new flavors, because I'm sure they're only going to be with us for a couple of months, right?
Yes.
Before you change your mind again.
So we've got core flavors. So the new ricotta stracciatella, which is kind of.
See, I couldn't pronounce that.
Yeah,
that's why I said ricotta whatever.
Yeah, that's it. A lot of people. So that's new. That will be a core flavor. So that's available all year round.
Perfect.
So we make cheddar, but the byproduct of cheddar is whey, and ricotta is just reheated whey. So we also make ricotta down in.
I haven't tasted that one yet. That's still in my fridge. Is that just delicate, creamy? Is that what? How would you describe that flavor?
It's kind of sweet savoury, the base. So
Ricotta,
it's a
yeah.
really nice. It's like quite salty. Gives the ricotta is naturally quite salty, and then it's got very fine chocolate chips running through it. So it's got that like chocolatey bitterness to it as well. I think it's one of my favourites actually. It took me years to get that formulated right because I didn't understand what was going wrong, and now I do. So yeah, we've got the ricotta, so that is added to the roasted strawberry, chocolate, vanilla, salted caramel, ricotta. That's our core. They're around.
When you say
all the time.
vanilla bean,
Vanilla
you call it
bean.
vanilla bean, and that's really maybe that's why I like it because you really taste good vanilla in there. It's just not just white creamy ice cream.
Yeah, so
What's
we don't
different
use
to
any
that?
extract. So a lot of
Okay.
really cheap commercial ice cream won't use any real vanilla bean at all. It will probably be just pure extract with some. Yeah, I mean you can buy the vanilla seeds just to put in there with no flavour. It just gives it that kind of authentic look. That's what a lot of commercial ice creams do. So we only use pure Madagascar vanilla beans in ours. So we don't use any
Wow.
vanilla extract in there. So it's just that's genuine. As kind of clean vanilla as you'll find really ice cream. So it's I mean that goes along with our whole ethos of natural ingredients. Everything in there's got to be really natural and
Yeah.
minimal process. So
Then you've got spiced pumpkin.
yeah, so spiced pumpkin was a bit of a last minute one actually, and it's gone down really well. So we'll definitely do that again next year. Get it out.
Oh, is that a
earlier.
seasonal thing?
Yeah, I think that'll be.
Is that finished now, or are you still going for a while?
Yeah, still going actually. We've still got some, so it'll be online, and yeah, a few shops still taking it. That was kind of that'll be an autumn flavour. I think we'll just bring back every year because people
Yeah,
seem
you
to
don't
like
use
it.
spice ice cream in the summer, do you?
Exactly.
Yeah, it's not a thing.
People do. I mean, it's interesting. So we've got cinnamon toast, which is out now, and we did that last year, and it's a really popular flavour for us. But naturally, as soon as the gets a bit warmer and less kind of wintry, people stop wanting that cinnamon. They start the sales start to drop off on it. I mean, people generally want to eat flavours which suit the season and the temperatures. So it does make a hell of a lot of sense as an ice cream producer to have that kind of rotation of seasonal flavours.
And it's good for you because you have the ingredients ready. I mean, pumpkins would be quite cheap and available in autumn. You're not going to easily find pumpkin in the spring, for instance,
exactly.
unless you bring in pumpkin paste or
Yeah.
preserved flavors, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it keeps things fresh, I think.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's right. So what else? I mean, we'll do every Christmas. There's more for online, but we do a bundle of 4 flavors, Christmas bundle, and we're going to bring back gingerbread for that this year. So
you have gingerbread.
Yeah,
I didn't know you
so,
had gingerbread.
Yeah, that's kind of for Christmas flavour we've done.
Yeah.
It's a tricky one, Christmas flavours. I think there's so many Christmas stuff like mince pie and classic things that you have over Christmas, but not many of them I think really work that well as an ice cream flavour. A lot of ice cream producers will just get a mince pie and then smash it up and put it in an ice cream base and there you've got mince pie ice cream. But I don't know. I think we haven't quite thought of something that's a bit out of the box way of just recreating a mince pie and an ice cream rather than just putting bits of mince pie in an ice cream.
And you can get a mince pie and have a vanilla ice cream on the side, and there you got mince pie. But what I like is that you're not trying to just plunk in a traditional Christmas flavor in an ice cream tub. You actually process it, and you make your own signature flavor out of it. It's kind of like I've been watching MasterChef, obviously, with a tub of your ice cream on the side. But it's just, you don't want chefs, you don't call them a master chef if you just like, okay, I'm just going to make fish and chips very well. That's not a master chef. That's just copying an already made recipe. You just kind of cook it better. But a true master is someone who just processes that understanding of how to make that specific recipe, then creates a certain percentage of his own creation and just puts it in there, so you can get a feel of what the actual fish and chips is, but it's not fish and chips,
Yeah,
you know.
it's an evolution.
And I'm not
of it, wasn't it?
suggesting you make fish and chips ice cream, but
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
if
but
you ever get
pushing it a
inspired,
bit.
mushy peas,
Yeah,
you know. But
Someone's
I'm glad
probably
you
done
didn't.
it.
I'm glad you just didn't chunk in minced pies and just put it in vanilla and call it minced pies. But I would imagine it's also quite challenging because Christmas flavors also have a lot of alcohol-y, rum, whatever in it, and I think I would suspect they would freeze. They would have more challenges to freeze if you include alcoholic
too
flavors.
Much, yeah. I used alcohol for the first time with the pumpkins, spiced pumpkins. That's got a bit of rum in it. But if you get it, it can be really handy so you can just cut your sugar down a bit with it.
Oh,
'Cause
is
it
that
has
how
the
you do
same
it? Okay.
antifreeze
Oh,
concept.
okay. I'll try that with the vodka in the freezer then.
Yeah, exactly.
Put more sugar in
Yeah.
or reduce the sugar somehow.
Yeah.
Great, great. So how can people contact you, order from you? What's the where can we go?
So if you go on our website, which is bricklesicecream.co.uk, you can order anywhere in the UK. You'll be able to get kind of delivery through the post on all our flavours. We've also got our stockists on there as well. So if you're kind of Somerset, Bristol, Bath area, there might be a shop that's closer, which, we have a minimum order of 4 tubs online just because the cost of delivery is so high with the dry ice, the insulation, the box, everything. So if you got your stockists on there as well. So website's got it all really, and then a link to our Instagram account if you want to follow us there.
Very easy to navigate your website. I like it, crisp, clear, not too much click here, click there. And 4 tubs in our family, that's a very sensible amount.
Yeah, I think
You need at least that. If it's a dog-safe flavor, I'm definitely giving that to my dog. I think she likes the vanilla bean, by the way.
Oh, does she? Yeah, I get a lot of people sending me pictures of their dog eating it. And
Yeah.
I'm not sure how legit that is, but yeah.
Oh, no, they do eat ice cream
Okay,
very well. Well, thank you, Rob, for sparing your time. And thank you for telling us not just about your products, but also about your entrepreneurship journey. It's been very inspiring.
No, thank you. It's been great.
All right. We'll be back after this.
Across Bath, Bradford-on-Avon and Trowbridge, this is Radio Bath.